I remember the moment everything cracked. Emily sat across from me, hands folded, voice calm. "I think we should let each other go," she said. I laughed because my brain refused to hear her. "What are you talking about?" I asked. She looked at the table, not at me. "I need to find myself," she said. "I don't know who I am anymore." My chest burned, but I nodded. "We can fix that," I said. "We always fix things." She shook her head slowly. "This isn't something you can fix for me." I asked, "Is there someone else?" The question tasted like blood. She answered too fast. "No, there's no one." I wanted to believe her because believing her hurt less. "Then why leave?" I asked. She reached for my hand, then stopped halfway. "Because you deserve someone certain," she said. "Someone who isn't broken," I told her. "I chose you broken." She smiled sadly. "That's why this hurts." I kept talking because silence scared me. "We have 6 years," I said. "You don't just walk away from that," she whispered. "I'm not walking away. I'm setting you free." I hated that word. "Don't decide that for me," I said. My voice cracked. She finally looked at me. "I already have," she said. Mark texted me then, my phone buzzing on the table. "Ignore it," Emily said gently. "This is between us." I thought of Mark's jokes, his steady voice, how he always said I gave too much. I said, "Tell me the truth, all of it." She breathed out slowly. "The truth is, I feel empty," she said. "And staying makes me resent you." I flinched. "I never asked you to stay if you were unhappy," I said. She replied, "You didn't have to. I stayed because you needed me." That hurt more than anger. "I never trapped you," I said. She answered, "I know. That's the problem." I felt small, like loving her had been a crime. "So what happens now?" I asked. She stood up, grabbing her coat. "Now you move on," she said. "You live. You meet someone who can love you better than I can." I stood too. "And you?" I asked. She hesitated. "I figure things out." I walked her to the door, my hands shook. "Promise me there's no one else," I said. She met my eyes. Balga, eye hands. "I promise," she said. I believed her because I wanted the pain to have rules. At the door, she touched my cheek. "Thank you for loving me," she said. I whispered, "I still do." She paused, then said nothing. When the door closed, the apartment felt hollow. I stared at the door, waiting for her to knock again. She didn't. I sat on the floor and told myself I had done the right thing by letting her go. But even then, a quiet voice inside me asked questions I was too afraid to speak. My phone rang minutes later. I didn't answer. It rang again. I knew it was Mark. I imagined him saying, "Are you okay?" I imagined lying. I said out loud, "I'm fine," to an empty room. I argued with myself. "She loves you," I said. "She wouldn't hurt you." Another part of me replied, "She already did." I remembered small moments I ignored, late replies, locked screens, her eyes drifting away. I told myself, "Stop." I said, "You're overthinking." I stood up and whispered, "Trust her." The word trust felt heavy. I pressed my forehead to the door and listened for footsteps. None came. I realized I never asked her where she was going. I never asked what she needed. I never asked if goodbye was permanent. I let her control the ending because conflict scared me. That night, sitting alone, I understood my mistake. Love without questions is not loyalty. It is fear, and fear is what she walked away from. I stared at my reflection and asked, "Why didn't you fight?" No answer came. Only the echo of her calm voice telling me to move on. I closed my eyes and felt something end, not love, innocence. That night, I became someone quieter, weaker, and unprepared for what followed afterward. The apartment stayed quiet after Emily left. Too quiet. I talked to myself just to hear a voice. "You're okay," I said one morning. "You're fine." The echo answered nothing. At night, I replayed her words. "Find myself. You deserve better. Move on." I said them out loud, changing the tone, hoping they would hurt less. They didn't. Laura called every day. "You eating?" she asked. I said, "Yeah." She said, "You lying?" I said, "Maybe." She came over once and stood in my kitchen. "You look empty," she said. I replied, "I feel organized sadness." She crossed her arms. "That's not healing," I said. "It's surviving." She shook her head. "You don't get points for suffering quietly." Mark dragged me out for drinks. He raised his glass. "To new starts," he said. I stared at it. "Too soon," I said. He leaned closer. "You didn't lose her," he said. "She quit." I snapped. "Stop making her the villain." He sighed. "I'm making you the priority." I looked away because that scared me. At night, I opened dating apps. I swiped without looking. A woman asked, "What are you here for?" I typed, "Distraction." She unmatched me. Another said, "Tell me about yourself." I stared at the screen and deleted the app. "I don't know who I am," I whispered. That sentence sounded familiar. I hated that. Laura sat with me on the couch one evening. "You keep defending her," she said. I answered. "Because loving someone doesn't turn off," she replied. "But self-respect can turn on." I laughed softly. "Not for me." She touched my arm. "She didn't choose you," she said. "That's not your failure." I said, "It feels like it is." Small memories started hurting more than big ones. Emily texting late, phone tilted away. Me asking, "Who's that?" Her saying, "Just work." The name slipped once. "Nathan needs this by morning," she said. I remember joking, "Your office husband?" She laughed too loud. "Don't be stupid," she said. I believed her because believing felt easier than doubt. One night, I dreamed my phone rang. I answered and said, "I forgive you." I woke up angry. "You didn't even apologize," I said to the ceiling. I paced the room and argued with myself. "She loved you," I said. "She wouldn't lie." Another voice answered, "She already did." I sat down and covered my face. "Stop," I whispered. "Just stop." Mark called again. "Come over," he said. "You're isolating." I replied, "I'm resting." He said, "From what?" I didn't answer. When I did go, he asked, "Do you miss her or the idea of her?" I said, "Both." He nodded. "That's honest," he said. "Pain fades when honesty starts." Laura sent me a message. She posted photos, she wrote. I stared at my phone. "With who?" I typed. She replied, "Coworkers, I think." I didn't ask for details. I imagined Emily smiling, living, breathing without me. The thought hurt, then settled. "She moved on," I said aloud. The words felt heavy but real. That night, I stood in front of the mirror. "You survived," I told myself. "You're still here." I opened the dating app again. I wrote, "Looking for something real." I hesitated, then smiled slightly. "Maybe I am," I said. For the first time, I didn't wait for her message. I put my phone down. The silence stayed, but it didn't feel like punishment anymore. It felt like space. Chapter 3. The knock I never expected. Word count, 800. Rain hit my door like it was angry. I was half asleep when the knock came again. "Who is it?" I asked. No answer. I opened the door and froze. Emily stood there, soaked, breathing hard. My eyes dropped before I could stop them. Her stomach was round. "Hey," she said. I whispered, "What is this?" She said, "Can I come in?" I stepped back without thinking. She stood in my living room, dripping on the floor. "You're pregnant," I said. She nodded. "I didn't plan to tell you like this." I laughed once. "You didn't plan to tell me at all," I said. She flinched. "I had nowhere else to go," she said. I asked, "Where is he?" She looked away. "Not here." My head felt loud. "Is it mine?" I asked. She answered, "No." The word hit harder than shouting. "Then whose?" I asked. She swallowed. "Nathan's." I felt heat rise in my face. "Your coworker?" I said. She said nothing. "The one you said was nobody?" I asked. She whispered, "I didn't think it would happen." I snapped. "You didn't think cheating would happen?" She cried. "I never meant to hurt you," she said. I laughed again. "You always say that," I said. "You told me to move on," she said. "I thought I had a future." I asked, "With him?" She nodded. "And now?" I asked. She wiped her face. He stopped answering. I walked to the window. "So you came here," I said. She said, "You're the only one who ever cared." I turned. "That's not love," I said. "That's convenience," she snapped. "Rachel said you'd say that." I stiffened. "Rachel?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "She called me stupid," she said. "She said you deserved better." I said. She was right. Emily sat on the couch slowly. "I'm scared," she said. I replied, "So was I." Silence stretched. My chest hurt. "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" I asked. She said, "Because I didn't want to lose you." I said, "You lost me anyway." She whispered, "I know." I hated myself then. "You can stay tonight," I said. She looked up. "Thank you," she said. I added, "That doesn't mean anything else." She nodded quickly. "I'm not asking for love," she said. I asked, "What are you asking for?" She placed a hand on her stomach. "Help." The words sat between us. I felt my healing crack. "I was just starting to breathe again," I said. She cried softly. "I'm sorry," she said. I closed my eyes. "You always are," I said. The rain kept falling outside. Inside, I realized the quiet I fought for was gone. Morning came without comfort. Emily sat at my table, holding a mug she never drank from. I said, "Start talking." She looked tired. "I don't know where to begin," she said. I replied, "With the truth." She nodded. "It started before I left," she said. My jaw tightened. "Emotionally," she added quickly. "At first," I asked, "so I wasn't crazy?" She whispered, "No." I leaned back. "Tell me," I said. She said, "He listened to me." I laughed once. "I listened," I said. She answered, "Not like that." I said, "That's convenient." She flinched. "I felt invisible," she said. "You were tired all the time." I snapped. "I was working for us." She replied, "I know. That's why I hated myself." I paced the room. "So you told me to move on," I said, "while you were leaning on him." She said, "I didn't touch him then." I stopped. "You still cheated," I said. She whispered, "I know." I asked, "When did it change?" She looked down. "After I left," she said. "He said he'd be there." I asked, "Forever?" She nodded. "He talked about a future." I laughed bitterly. "He practiced on you," I said. Emily wiped her eyes. "When I found out I was pregnant, he panicked," she said. "He said we needed time." I replied, "That's coward language." She said, "He stopped calling." I asked, "And that's when you remembered me?" She shook her head. "I remembered you before," she said. "I just didn't deserve you then." A knock interrupted us. Dr. Helen stood there, calm and professional. "I'm here for a quick check," she said. Emily introduced us. The doctor asked questions. Emily answered softly. I stood in the corner, feeling useless. Dr. Helen said, "You need stability right now." Emily nodded. The doctor left. Reality stayed. I faced Emily again. "You lied to me," I said. She said, "I was scared." I replied, "You made choices." She said, "I didn't think I'd lose everything." I asked, "Did you ever plan to tell me?" She hesitated. "No," she said. "That hurt more than anger." "So this isn't love," I said. "This is fear." She stood. "I didn't come back to trap you," she said. I answered, "You came back because you had no one." She cried. "I came back because you're safe," she said. I shook my head. "That's not enough anymore," I said. Silence filled the space between us. I saw her clearly then, not evil, just weak. I said, "You didn't come back because you loved me." She whispered, "I know." I finished, "You came back because you were desperate." She didn't deny it. And for the first time, the truth didn't destroy me, it freed me. Mark sat across from me, elbows on his knees. "Say it out loud," he said. I asked, "Say what?" He replied, "That this isn't your responsibility." I looked at the floor. "She's pregnant," I said. "She's alone." Mark shook his head. "So were you," he said, and she walked away. I snapped, "That's different." He leaned back. "No," he said. "It just feels different because you still love her." Laura came later, standing near the door like she didn't want to stay long. "You look tired," she said. I answered, "I am." She said, "From thinking or from carrying her weight?" I didn't respond. She stepped closer. "You don't owe her rescue," she said. I replied, "I owe myself peace." She nodded. "Then choose that." Emily waited in the other room. When I sat with her, she spoke first. "I'm not asking you to love me," she said. I replied, "Good." She flinched but continued. "I'm asking you not to abandon me." I said, "You abandoned me." She whispered, "I know." I asked, "So what exactly do you want?" She placed her hands together. "Support," she said. "Time." I stared at her. "Time for what?" I asked. She said, "To figure my life out." I laughed quietly. "You already did," I said. "You just don't like the result." She cried. "I'm scared," she said. I replied, "So am I." Silence filled the room. I felt the old urge to fix things. I pushed it down. I said, "If I help, it won't be the way it was." She looked up. "What does that mean?" she asked. I answered, "No mixed signals, no pretending." She nodded quickly. "Anything," she said. I raised my hand. "Listen first," I said. "You don't stay here forever." She said, "Okay." I added, "I'm not your backup plan." She swallowed. "I understand." Later, Mark texted me. "Did you decide?" I typed, "Yes." He replied, "And?" I wrote, "I choose myself." Laura called. "What did you do?" she asked. I said, "I set rules." She paused. "That's new," she said. I smiled slightly. "I'm learning." I sat alone and talked to myself again. You're not weak for helping, I said. You're weak if you disappear. Another voice answered, you're strong if you protect yourself. I breathed in slowly. I realized control didn't mean cruelty, it meant clarity. Emily came back into the room. Thank you for not turning me away, she said. I replied, don't thank me yet. She asked, why? I said, because this isn't forgiveness. She nodded. I don't expect that. I said, good. That night, I wrote boundaries on my phone, like promises. No emotional dependence, no false hope, no self-betrayal. I looked at Emily sleeping on the couch and felt sadness without longing. That scared me more than pain ever did. In the morning, she asked, are you staying? I answered, I'm standing. She frowned. I don't understand. I said, I'm not chasing you anymore. She looked away. I see, she said softly. And I did. For the first time, I wasn't begging to be chosen. I was choosing. Nathan showed up 3 days later. I heard his voice before I saw him. Emily, we need to talk, he said. I stayed seated. Emily stood near the door, hands tight. You came, she said. He glanced at me. I didn't know he was still here, he said. I replied, I live here. His smile faded. Nathan cleared his throat. I can explain, he said. Emily crossed her arms. You said you'd help, she said. He answered. I said I'd try. I watched him avoid her eyes. I said nothing. Emily looked at me once, then back at him. I'm pregnant, she said again, like repetition might make it real for him. He nodded stiffly. Yeah, he said. About that. Silence pressed down. Emily asked, what does that mean? He rubbed his hands. I'm not ready, he said. I noticed his foot edging toward the door. Emily laughed sharply. You promised, she said. He replied, I promised support, not this. She asked, not your child. He didn't answer. I stayed quiet, letting the truth speak. Kevin arrived then, loud and careless. Bro, your phone's off again, he said, then stopped when he saw us. Oh, he added, this is her? Nathan stiffened. Kevin, not now, he said. Kevin laughed. Relax, he said. I won't tell your girlfriend. Emily blinked. Girlfriend? She asked. Kevin froze. Wait, he said. You didn't know? Nathan snapped. Shut up. Kevin looked confused. Man, you said she was temporary, he said. Emily stepped back like she'd been hit. Temporary, she repeated. I felt something settle inside me. Kevin kept talking. You told everyone the baby wasn't yours yet, he said. Said you'd figure it out later, Nathan yelled. Enough. Emily whispered, is that true? Nathan said, I was scared. She said, so you lied. He replied, I didn't want to ruin my life. I finally spoke. You already did, I said calmly. Nathan glared at me. This isn't your business, he said. I answered, you made it mine when you lied to both of us. Kevin shifted awkwardly. I should go, he said. Nathan didn't stop him. When the door closed, Emily sank onto the chair. You said you'd be there, she said. Nathan rubbed his face. I can't do this, he said. I have plans. She asked, what about mine? He didn't respond. I watched Emily's eyes change. Not anger, understanding, she said softly. You're leaving. Nathan grabbed his jacket. I'll send money, he said. She laughed bitterly. That's all you have? She asked. He paused, then left. The door shut harder than it needed to. Emily didn't cry. She looked at me. You knew, she said. I replied, I suspected. She asked, why didn't you warn me? I answered, you wouldn't have listened. She nodded slowly. You're right. I felt no victory, only relief. I wasn't responsible for her illusions anymore. She said, I ruined everything. I replied, you ignored the truth. She looked down. I see it now, she said. I stayed quiet. That was my restraint. Karma didn't shout, it whispered, and for the first time, I didn't block my ears. Emily sat across from me, quiet for a long time. Then she asked, do you still love me? I didn't answer right away. My silence scared her. Please, she said, just tell me. I breathed in and said, I love who I was with you. She frowned. That's not an answer. I said, it is. She whispered, what about me now? I replied, I don't love this version of you. Her face crumpled. That hurts, she said. I nodded. I know. She asked, when did you stop? I said, the night you told me to move on. She shook her head. I didn't mean to lose you, she said. I answered. Intent doesn't change impact. She covered her mouth. I thought you'd wait, she said. I replied, I waited too long already. She stood and paced. I said. You made a choice. I made a mistake, she said. She turned on me. You're punishing me, she said. I stayed calm. No, I said. I'm protecting myself. She sat again, weaker now. I don't recognize you, she said. I answered. That's because I finally recognize myself. A knock came at the door. I opened it to Rachel. She looked at Emily and sighed. You're still here, she said. Emily snapped. Why are you here? Rachel shrugged. I came to check on him, she said, pointing at me. Someone has to. Emily looked away. Rachel said, I warned you. Emily whispered, I know. Rachel turned to me. You okay? She asked. I nodded. I am now, I said. Rachel left after a moment. Emily watched the door close. Everyone leaves, she said. I replied. Everyone reaches a limit. She looked at me. Are you leaving too? I said, not running, choosing. She asked, is there any chance? I shook my head. Not the way you want. She cried quietly. I thought you were my safe place, she said. I answered, I was. She asked, what changed? I said, I stopped being invisible. She wiped her face. I'm sorry, she said. I replied, I believe you. She looked hopeful. I added, but belief isn't repair. She said, I lost you, like she was just realizing it. I nodded. Yes. She asked, do you hate me? I said no. She whispered, then what do you feel? I thought, then said, peace. That word hit her harder than anger. She stood slowly. I'll start packing, she said. I answered, take your time. She paused. Thank you, she said. I replied, this is goodbye. She looked back once. I really did love you, she said. I met her eyes. I know, I said. That's why this hurts. When she left the room, I sat alone. I didn't feel empty. I felt steady. For the first time, I wasn't waiting to be chosen. I had already chosen myself. Emily stood near the door with her bag at her feet. I found a place, she said. I nodded. Good, she hesitated. It's temporary, I replied. That's okay. She asked, will you come with me? I said, no. She swallowed. I didn't mean today, she said. I answered, I mean ever. We sat at the table one last time. I made calls, I said. Shelters, clinics, support groups. She looked surprised. You didn't have to, she said. I replied, I wanted to. She asked, why help if you're leaving? I said, because decency isn't love. She nodded slowly. I understand. She slid my spare key across the table. You should have this, she said. I picked it up. I should, I said. My hand didn't shake. She whispered, I'm really sorry. I looked at her. Say it again, I said. She met my eyes. I'm sorry for lying, she said, for using your kindness. I listened carefully. That's the first honest apology, I said. She cried. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. I answered, good. I stood and opened my phone. I'm deleting the photos, I said. She flinched. You don't have to, she said. I replied, I do. I tapped the screen and said, they belong to a past that's done. She watched quietly. Does it hurt? She asked. I said, yes. She asked, then why do it now? I said, because pain fades faster than lies. She said, do you ever think about revenge? I thought for a moment. I did, I said. Then I realized indifference is cleaner. She nodded. You've changed, she said. I replied, I had to. She asked, do you hate me? I said no. She waited. I don't trust you either, I added. We walked to the door together. She paused. Thank you for not humiliating me, she said. I answered, that would have been about me, not you. She smiled sadly. You were always better than me, she said. I shook my head. No, I said. I just stopped betraying myself. She stepped outside. This is goodbye, she said. I replied, yes. She looked back once more. I hope you find someone, she said. I answered, I already did. She frowned. Who? I said, me. She nodded, accepting it at last. When the door closed, I leaned against it and breathed. I didn't feel victorious. I felt calm. I said out loud, you survived. The room felt lighter without promises hanging in the air. I sat down and stared at the empty space where she used to be. Love isn't sacrifice without respect, I said. The words stayed. Later, Laura called. Is it done? She asked. I said, yes. She replied, how do you feel? I answered, sad and free. She smiled through the phone. That's healing, she said. I hung up and looked around. No ghosts followed me, only quiet. That night, I slept without dreaming of her. In the morning, I woke without checking my phone. I poured coffee and said, this is peace. It didn't shout, it stayed. Months passed without drama. That surprised me most. One morning, Mark asked, "Do you still think about her?" I answered, "Not the way you mean." He said, "That's progress." I smiled, "That's peace." Laura visited later and said, "You look different." I replied, "I feel honest." She asked, "With who?" I said, "Myself." I stopped apologizing for taking space. When people asked, "Why are you single?" I said, "Because I choose quiet over chaos." They laughed. I didn't. I learned that silence isn't empty when it's earned. I talked to myself less, but when I did, the voice was kinder. "You did enough," I told myself. "You stayed true." One evening, Mark said, "You ever miss the version of you from before?" I thought about it. "I miss his innocence," I said, "not his blindness." Mark nodded. "That guy loved hard," he said. I replied, "This one loves smart." We sat without filling the space. That felt new. Laura asked, "Would you take her back if she changed?" I shook my head. "Change doesn't erase choices," I said. She smiled. "That's boundaries," she said. I answered, "That's self-respect." I stopped explaining myself after that. The need faded. I went on dates without urgency. When someone asked, "What happened to you?" I said, "I learned." They asked, "From what?" I replied, "From loving someone more than myself." Some stayed, some didn't. Either way, I didn't feel rejected. I felt selective. One night, I stood at my door and remembered how it felt opening it to chaos. I said out loud, "Never again." The words didn't sound angry, they sounded final. I looked around my apartment. No borrowed keys, no hidden fears, just space I controlled. Mark called. "You happy?" he asked. I said, "I'm grounded." He laughed. "That's better." Laura texted, "Proud of you." I typed back, "Me too." That mattered more than anything. I thought about Emily once, briefly, not with anger, not with longing, just clarity. "I hope you're okay," I said quietly, then I moved on. That was the victory. Not revenge, not closure from her, closure from myself. I opened my door that night, letting fresh air in. "This is mine," I said. The future didn't rush me. It waited, and for the first time, I wasn't afraid to step forward alone.